So this is where you can monitor and analyze if someone is doing unauthorized activity, or some person is entering into a building, or you can set up alerts. So let's say you have a bank vault, and you want an alert to be set up. So let's say someone is entering into a bank vault at around 10 p.m. in the night. Okay, so some human activity is happening on 10 p.m. at the night. The CCTV camera captures that activity and sends that alert to your mobile or system. So like the same way, SIEM also works in that way. Okay, so in a company, in an organization, you have multiple different sources. It can be your laptops, it can be servers, it can be your networking devices, it can be cloud, it can be your mobile devices. So anything that is connected to an internet will be monitored. Okay. Why? Because you don't know where the threat actors can target, like in which way the threat actors can target. He can target your personal computer, he can target the phone, he can target a server. So you don't know where, when, and where, and what he can target. So that's why using the SIM solution, we will be logging each and every activity from these devices, and then centralize those logging to the SIM solution. So that's the main purposes. Okay. So a SIM is a system that collects, analyzes, and correlates log from multiple sources to detect security threats in real time. So that's what a SIM is. Okay. So why SIM is needed? So without a SIM, logs are scattered across firewalls, servers, apps, and clouds, and there is no central visibility. So each team sees only their piece, and there's a lot of logging. There's a lot of data. Okay, right? Because your company may have around thousands of laptops or thousands of servers. You cannot go to those individual machines and analyze those logs uh, individually. So that's impossible, right? Because you may have thousands of devices. So that's why SIM will help you to centralize all these logs from all this machine, and then uh, you know it will you can use it to monitor it. And also it's very fast and efficient in order to detect and respond to threat. Okay, so with SIM, it's like a single pane of glass. All the logs are in one place, and you can perform real-time threat detection with automated rules, and you can correlate across many different systems and see the full attack path. And you can get instant alerts when there is a suspicious activity is detected. Okay, so let's say there is one suspicious login or suspicious login activity detected. So in a minute, you'll be receiving an alert. Okay, so SIM is a real-time, uh, alerting mechanism. So that's what it is used for. So these are all the core components of a SIM solution, or core functionality. So you have log collection, normalization, correlation, alerting, and dashboarding. Okay. So log collection means you get logs from different types of sources, and then the logs are normalized. Okay. Normalization means it will be easier for you to understand. Okay. A lot of times what happens here is logs are not easy to read, right? So for example, like let's say you know Hindi, or you may know Telugu, or you may know Kannada, but suddenly you see a different language. So someone who knows Kannada sees Telugu language or some other language. So it's very hard for them to read, right? So it's very hard for them to understand what's the meaning of it. So how can they understand this? Using translators, right? So just like that, normalization also works in a simple way, in that way. So normalization will translate the raw logs into a structured format, so that it is easier for uh, the analyst to read and analyze it. Okay, so that's what a SIM will do. And alerting, so it triggers you alerts and notification whenever there's a security threats that are detected. Okay, and then you can have an interactive dashboard. to monitor and visualize threats. So this is how a SIM works. So first is the log generation parts. So the logs are generated from all these devices. So your Windows device, Linux device, Mac, cloud, all of the system generates these logs. Okay. And these logs are sent to SIM. So how is the logs are sent is via agents. So agents are basically a software that is installed on all of these machines. And these agents will record and capture each and every activity. Okay. And then it will send that logs to the indexer. Okay. And then it is parsed and normalized. And then the rules are applied. So in the 4 steps, the rules are applied on those rules. And then the alert is triggered. And then you, the analyst, will be performing the investigation. So that's how this SIM works. Okay. So this is a real world example. So let's say that there is a login from India, and then after a 5 minutes gap, there is a login from US. Okay, and then the SIM will detect impossible travel. The alert is triggered, and then the analyst is investigated. So what this means is, so let's say you're working in a company, and then you got an alert that a user is logging in from United States, and 5 minutes before he has logged in from India. Okay, so within that 5 minutes gap, is it possible for a person to travel from India to United States? No, it's humanly impossible unless you are a superhero, right? So, but a lot of times what happens here is if your credentials, if your username and password is stolen from someone from United States or Russia or China, this type of activity can happen. Okay, so someone working or someone is from a different country can log in to your account and then perform unauthorized operation. So you can detect this kind of activity. So this is one of the rule example, like impossible travel alert. Okay. Uh, yeah. So for this example, I'll be showing you a tool called as Splunk. So there's a lot of different vendors for SIM out there. So you have Splunk, you have Sentinel, you have Logarithm, you have ELK, you have QRadar. So there's a lot of different vendors. So the most market share in terms of SIM is Splunk has a lot of market share, followed by Sentinel, followed by Chronicle, followed by QRadar, like that. Okay. So in our classes, we'll be focusing on multiple different SIM technologies. So for this example, I'll be showing you Splunk. So this is how the Splunk user interface looks like. Okay. So so all of the SIM solution is based on SQL. So it's like a database. So I think most of you or have knowledge of what a database is and what a SQL is, like SQL, right? So Splunk works in a similar way. So you can analyze the logs using a specific query language. Okay. So in order to analyze these logs, you need to know a query language. So Splunk has its own query language called as SPL. SPL stands for Splunk Processing Language. Okay. So yeah. So let me just. So you have a documentation for this. It's a very easy to learn language. So if you have used SQL before, or if you have learned SQL, SQL is kind of little bit tough to query. You need to know a lot of syntax for analyzing the data. But SPL is very easy. Okay, so don't be scared that hey, I need to like learn some new language. So it's very easy to learn language, and nowadays you have AI and you have a lot of assistance in writing this queries. Okay, so you will be using the Splunk queries to perform analysis. Okay, so let me show you one example. So this is the search bar in Splunk. This is where you will be writing the queries. Okay, and this is the time frame. So yeah.
Hello. Sorry, still we are seeing from Splunk. Yes, so that's continue. We are not showing search.
Oh, okay. I think I'm not sure the correct screen. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the Splunk interface. Okay. So this is where you'll be writing and analyzing logs. Sorry, writing the query and analyzing the logs. Okay. So Splunk has its own query language called as SPL. Okay. So this is the website where you can find the cheat sheet and where you can learn more about this query language. So it's very simple to yeah. Uh, any questions? Sorry. Okay. So it's very easy to understand and write the query. So Splunk is very easy to use language. So let me show you how it works. So this is where you'll be writing the query, and then you have a option to select the date and time. Okay. So this is where you can select the date and time uh, for which you want to perform the investigation. So Splunk or any SIM records the data for around 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So depends on your organization's configuration, you can set the retention policies. Okay. So what do I mean by this is, so let's say that there has been a suspicious login activity that has occurred on around uh, 5th of April, right? So there is a suspicious login activity occurred on 5th of April. So what you can do here is you can come here and select the date and time. So you can select date and time range here and select the calendar. So now I want to only look at the events at a specific date and time. So I want to look at from April 3rd to April 4th and click on apply. So now the date and time is set for a custom range. So now what I can do is I can write the query and only search for the events occurring for that specific date. So why do I do this is Splunk stores the data for around 90 days, right? So it can store up to 90 days of data or more. So so there will be a lot of data for you to analyze if you don't select the appropriate date and appropriate time range. Okay, so that's why you need to select the appropriate date and time.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have one question. I have one question here. Now, SIM and Splunk both are doing from the same activity, or SIM is doing from the different activities, Splunk is taken from the different activity.
SIM. So Splunk is basically a SIM. So Splunk is a SIM. Okay. So SIM is basically like a tool, like a platform. So there are different type of Splunk is a vendor. Okay. Splunk is one of the vendor of a SIM solution. So how you have antivirus, right? So antivirus is a technology. So you have different
Now,
vendors for antivirus.
now all the data, now what and all devices is there from the organization, all the devices are connected from the SIM.
Yes.
That SIM again will be connected from this Splunk.
Yes. So all the devices on your organization can be connected to a SIM. Okay.
Okay.
So it can be laptops, it can be servers, it can be antiviruses, it can be web application logs, cloud logs, VMware logs, anything, right? Anything that is generating a log can be recorded using a SIM.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So SIM is
Okay.
like
That log we need to analyze purpose. We need to use from the Splunk. Okay.
yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I have one question. Like,
yeah.
Can I?
Yes, go on.
Hello. Yeah. So I just want to understand, like, the SOC analyst, the daily activity will be like they'll be analyzing on the live logs or they'll be analyzing on the past data. So you told that data will be stored for 30 days or something like that, right? So the
Yes,
day-to-day job will be like analyzing the past data or the live logs.
it will be live logs and as well as past data as well. Because, yeah, see, let's say you got an alert that there has been some unauthorized login to one of the device, right? So this alert would be generated for the live data, right? But you don't know when the attacker got the first access, got the initial access. So how long was he in the system? You don't know, right? So that's when you will look at the past data as well. So that's how you can use past data. Okay, you got what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah, got it.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just give you a demo. So so the first thing about writing the query with Splunk is you need to specify an index. Okay. So Splunk. Uh, okay. Let me explain the architecture. I know it may take a little bit of more time, but I want you to understand. So there'll be a little bit of theory. So let me just. Okay. So Splunk has three main components for it to work. Okay. The first one is forwarder, second one is indexer, and the third is the searcher. Okay. So forwarders are basically the agents that will collect the logs from one machine and then send that logs to another location. Okay. So the main purpose of forwarders are it will collect the logs. Okay. And you have something called as indexer. So indexer are basically like a database. I think most of you are familiar with what a database is, right? So indexer is basically a database where those logs are stored. Okay. So indexer will store the logs and parse those logs. Parsing means it will convert the raw log into a readable format, into a normalized format. Okay. And then it will store the log. And then you have search head. So search head is basically what we're using here. So using the search head, we are querying the logs from the indexer. So we are basically querying the logs that is stored in the indexer. Okay. So when you are querying the logs from Splunk, so the first thing that you need to do is specify which index you need to query from. Okay. So remember, Splunk stores logs from different devices, different type of devices. It stores logs from Windows device, Linux device, Mac, firewall, proxy, cloud, basically everything that is connected to internet. Okay. So that's why you need to specify which index that you need to query the logs for. Okay. So for this example, let's say that I want to analyze logs from uh, web application. Okay. Like a web server. Okay. So now I need to specify, first I need to specify index. Okay. And then you need to type the equal to, and then specify the index name. So in my case, the index name is bots v1. So this is the index name for my logs. And then I need to specify the time. So for this example, I'll be using all time. Why? Because this is a simulated logs. So these are not actually real logs. So that's why I'm selecting all time. Now when I click on search, I can see all the logs that are coming in for this index. So this is how the index looks like. So sorry, this is how the logs will look like. Okay. So now you have something called as source type. Okay. Source type is basically like a sub index. So in my configuration, what I have done is I have one single index and I have multiple source types. So around 15 different source types. So here you can see that I have different type of logs here. I have Win event logs. I have Windows registry logs. I have TCP logs. I have firewall logs, all these things. Okay. So for this example, I'll be using an index called as HTTP. Okay. So let me stop the querying here, you can see that this is the amount of log that I'm querying, 3,90,089 events. Okay, so now let me kind of query it, like let me filter it down. So first, let me give you a scenario, and then I'll walk you through the scenario so that it's better to understand. So the scenario is there has been a report. Okay, so there has been a report or there has been a notification that one of your company's website has been hacked. Okay, so someone has hacked one of the website of the company. Okay, so the scenario is the SOC team got a notification from one of the customer that there has been an unauthorized login or unauthorized activity that has been unauthorized activity that has been detected. Okay, so now what is the website name? So the website name that has been breached or website name that has been compromised is, so this is a website name that has been breached. Okay, so this is just like a demo purpose, like these are not actual uh, uh, so these are all simulated logs. So the reason is like I cannot show you the real logs for for this example. So these are all actual simulated logs. So this mimics the actual activity. Okay, so the website name that was compromised is I am really not batman.com. Okay, this is a website that was breached. So I know how silly it looks, but yeah. So now what we can do here is, this is a website, right? So anyone in the call know what type of protocol does a website use? Like what type of protocol it uses?
HTTPS.
Yes, exactly. Right. So website uses HTTP or HTTPS protocol. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to select the logs for HTTP. So we have different types of logs here. We have around 15 types of logs. So we don't want all of these logs. We only want HTTP logs. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will filter out the logs. Okay. So how do you filter out the logs is you need to copy the field name here. So copy the source type field name, paste it here, and then type equal to, or okay. So now let's say that you don't know what the source type is. Like you don't know what all source types are available, right? So how you can know what all source types are available is you can use a command called as stats command. Stats count by source type. So what this will do is it will give me all the source types that are available in my Splunk. Why? Because let's say that you are a new employee, right? So you're working in a company and you're a new employee, and you don't know what all indexes are there, and you don't know what all source types are there. So in order to view all the source types that are available, you can use this command, stats count by source type. So when you enter this, it will give you all the unique source types that are available. Okay. So these are all the unique source types that are available. So for our use case, right, for our investigation, the source type that we want to look for is HTTP, stream HTTP. So this is the source type that we want to look for. So now what I'll do is I will click on this and I can click on view events, or I can directly copy this and go to my search here, remove it, and specify source type equal to stream HTTP. So now what happens here is I'm only seeing the logs from HTTP index. I'm not seeing logs from Windows, Linux, or any other machine. I'm only seeing logs from HTTP. If you see the counts now, it's only 23,936 events compared to 350,000 events that we saw earlier. Okay. Now it's like 10% or 20% of the events that we have filtered out. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we will go back to our incident now. So the website that has been compromised is I am really not Batman.com. Okay. So, okay. So I will have one scenario for the time being, because we are, I mean, this will take a lot of time, but I'll show you one scenario. Okay. So anyone has a guess on, so let's say if I'm a hacker and I want to hack a particular company or a particular website, what is the first thing that a hacker does? Any idea? Like any guess in the crowd?
Like phishing attack or something.
Yes. That is
Simply avoid the
Knowing the vulnerabilities.
exactly knowing the vulnerabilities, right? How do I know the vulnerabilities?
I
Any
mean,
guess?
here one. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Knowing the vulnerabilities. So how do I know the vulnerabilities? Is using scanners, vulnerability scanners. So I can use vulnerability scanners to scan the website. Okay. So there's a lot of vulnerability scanners that are out there. Most
No,
popular.
vulnerability means that's one weaknesses only, na?
Sorry. Come again?
No.
No,
That
I
means
meant like weakness, right?
weaknesses.
Yes, exactly. So to understand what all weakness a website has, you can use scanning tools, right? That is one of the way.
Then before only we need to fix and we need to do it that way also is there in that time.
So before only, sorry.
No, my wife not only. No, actually, yeah. Suppose any weakness is there in our mission, we know these weakness also is there. And then why you can given the chance to hacker? You need to do something hacking.
I didn't understand the question correctly, but let me explain what's happening here, right? So let's say I'm a hacker, right? And I'm targeting a particular company,
Okay.
like, right? So what I will do is I will get information about that company, right? So that's the first step.
Okay.
Like what that
Clear,
company,
clear.
right? What that company is and what that website they use. Okay. So after getting what websites the company use, what is the next step? The next step is gaining additional information about that website. So how do I gain additional website information about the website is using publicly available sources. It can be through Showdown, like showdown.io. So let's say I'm targeting a company. So let's say I'm targeting Flipkart.com, and I want to know what all servers Flipkart.com uses. So I can just come here and type Flipkart.com and then click on search. So this will give me all the servers that Flipkart.com uses. So there are 15 servers. Now I can target which server that I want to use. So let's say these are all the servers that Flipkart uses, or these are all the domain names. And I can target a website, like target the IP address here. Copy this. And what I can do next is I can use scanning tools. So I can go to Nmap online. or Nmap tool or any other scanning tool, and then put the IP address and perform the scan. Okay, I'll not be doing it now because I don't want to get sued. Yeah, so once I perform the scan, what I'll get is the information on what all ports the website has, what all vulnerabilities the website has, what all services the website is using. Is there any outdated version? Is there any outdated CVE that the website uses? All those information I can get using this vulnerability scanner. You got it? Like, you got what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Right? So that's the first step as a hacker. Okay. So now, if I want to search, so the first step in my scenario is, I can come here and paste the website name. Okay. So now what this will do is, it will give me only the result from this website. Okay. So one thing to remember, these logs are stored internally. These logs are only available to me, right? To this company. Why? Because I am hosting this website. So this website is hosted by my company. So that's why I'm seeing these logs, right? So someone who does not have access to Splunk will not be able to view the logs. Okay, just to be clear on that. So now if I click on search, okay, I think my spelling was wrong. Okay, so now if you look at the events, I have around 5,000 events compared to 25,000 events before, right? Okay, I think that's, yeah, sorry. It's increased now. So now it has 22,200 events compared to 25 before. Okay, so now next what I want to do is, so the next scenario is, check if any scanning activity was observed on the website. Okay, why? Because if someone is targeting a website, the first thing that they will do is scan the website to know what the vulnerabilities are, and like to get more information on the website. So I need to see if any scanning type of activity has happened or not, right? So now what I can do is, let's look at the log. So this is how an HTTP log looks like. So if you if you know already, HTTP logs a lot of information. So you have source IP, you have destination IP, you have the date, you have the time, and you have the user agents. You have like the status code. So HTTP has multiple status code: 200, 300, 400, 500, right? So each type of status code indicates it's different type of activity. Okay, so now okay, sorry. So now if I want to look at the data here, so in the right hand side you see the logs, individual logs, like one single log for each entry, and in the left hand it's basically the consolidation of all the logs. So this is how you can, view in a consolidated way. So for example, if I want to look at all the IP address that has accessed this website, I can see CIP. So this is the field where all the IP address that were used to access my website. So CIP means client IP. So client IP means who have accessed my website. So I can see that only two users or two IPs that have accessed my website. Okay. So now let's look at one of this IP. So you can see that 40.IP has around 20,000 counts and 23.IP has 1,000 counts. So most of the traffic has been happened from one single IP address. So it's very unusual to see that one single IP has accessed my website 20,000 times. So this one single IP has performed activity of 20,000 times. Okay, so that's very unusual. So let's click on this IP. Now what happens here is this IP is filtered down. See, yeah. Any questions? Sorry, I think someone raised their hands.
Yeah, so like I didn't understand like how did you get that code index bot SV and year that email and how do we analyze that thing actually? Like if you're doing like from a SOC analyst point of view, how will I know with that code I have to put in and that IP I have to find out or something like that?
From an alert.
Yeah,
Okay.
from an alert. Yeah.
Yes. So this is for a scenario I have used just because I don't have real-time data, but you'll be getting an alert. Okay. So how do you get an alert is one example I'll say. So in this case, a single IP has accessed this website 20,000 times. Okay. So you can set up
Okay.
an alert to detect if any one single IP is accessing multiple different content of a website more than 5,000 times or more than 2,000 times. So that will create an alert here. Okay. And that alert will create a ticket. So I think you would have used ServiceNow before, right? Or any ticketing engine have you used before? Or
What of the ticketing engine? Like whatever high priority tasks should be done, it will pop up.
yes, yeah. So this alerts would create a ticket. So this will be Splunk would be integrated with ticketing platforms like ServiceNow, Jira, or WMC Remedy, or many other tools. So in the ticket, you will have all the details of that alert, like what this alert is about, what is the IP address, what website was affected, and what is the time, date, and time, and all those details. Okay. So using that details, you can come here and then search for that activity. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I think that's primarily it. So just to analyze, just to wind up the class, I'll be fast forwarding it because we don't have much time. So we can see that there is a lot of activity from this single IP. So let's see what all source type was used. So if you look at the logs here, if you look at form data, or if you look at HTTP user agent. So let's see what all user agents were used. So you can look at all the unique user agents that were used from this website. So just to give a clarity, user agent means what type of browser or what type of device was used to access this website. Okay. So this web server logs will record what type of device was used to access the website. Like, was it a Windows machine? And what type of browser? Was it a Chrome? Or was it a Mozilla Firefox? Was it a Safari browser? Or was it a Chrome browser? So all these details we can get from user agent fields. So let's look at what type of device was used. So we can look at stats count by HTTP user agent. So you can see that we have 51 unique user agents. It's very unusual. Okay, and then you can also see there is a lot of SQL injection based attack happening. And you can see there is a tool name here, Acuntex VBS Security. So let's see what Acuntex is. So if you do a Google search, so Acuntex is basically a web application security scanner. So we can confirm that based on this, that Acuntex scanner was used to scan the website. Okay, so this was indeed a attacker IP, and this attacker used Acuntex scanner to scan the website. Okay, I know it may, I mean, whatever I did now is kind of like, it was easy. It may look easy because I already knew the answer, right? So, but in a real world SOC case, it's not that easy. So you need to look at the logs, you need to look at each and every fields and understand what's happening. Okay, and you need to filter it down. It's like a detective. So it's kind of like you need to be having that mindset, right? So, but as you get more experience and as you are analyzing logs, you can just look at the log in one form, and you can get to know what if it is actually legitimate or not. You don't need to do Google. You can actually see what's based on experience. You can get that insight. Okay, so yeah, so this concludes our investigation. So we know that the IP address that was used by the attacker is 40.IP address, and the scanner that was used was Acuntex application scanner. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's further investigation that we need to do, like what other activity he has done. Was there any sensitive file that he has stolen? Did he deface the website? Did he delete something? All those things we need to check. But due to interest of time, and it will take a lot of time, we'll be winding it up now. So any questions on this course, on this, anything?
Like, do we like understand the entire Splunk tool, or just this much? Like, will we go deeper or anything particular like that?
We'll be going full deep. So what we'll be teaching is, we'll be teaching how to install Splunk on your own machine, how to onboard the logs into Splunk. Like, how do you onboard the logs into Splunk? How do you set up alerts? And then we will be triggering alerts. Okay, so we will be triggering alerts, and how do you investigate those alerts? And also, we have our own data sets, like own simulated logs, like real world examples. So how the class will be designed is, once you know how to analyze logs, I'll be giving you questions. It will be like a CTF based questions. So you'll be given 1 or 2 days to analyze these logs and then give the answer. For example, what is the attacker's IP address? What activities did this attacker do? So those kind of things will be done.
Okay. And how do we understand like the code, like which you use, their index is equal to bot.sv? So that comes through learning, or how do we analyze that, like stat count by HTTP, the code there?
Yes, that's come through learning. So you need to, I'll be teaching you how to query Splunk. The first thing about querying is, you need to know the language, right? So I'll be teaching you the basics of SPL and how to query the logs. Okay, and then you will be practicing it. So that's how you'll be able to learn.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one example of Splunk. We'll be teaching you EDR, like Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and other antivirus solutions. And then, so this is whatever I teach now is one single log source.
CrowdStrike also, are we going to learn?
Yeah, so we'll be learning Defender for Endpoint. So that's also an EDR, a very popularly used EDR platform. So that tool will be using. I mean, CrowdStrike also will be using based on the availability of the class. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, so that's about it. Hope this class, I mean, you got some insight on what cybersecurity is and what a SOC analyst role is, and had some learning from this course. So yeah, so if any questions or if you're interested about learning more and having a better, understanding, you can reach out. Yeah.